Okay, so there's a few things on my mind. It's really kind of like a whole bunch of stuff on my mind. I can't even keep it all straight. But one thing is, you know, you can't say that. You know, there is the informed, and there's the uninformed that are you know, not the ones that did it, the ones who didn't do it. There's two different kinds. The ones who know why they didn't do it, and I don't know, the ones that are just following the pack. I'm not really quite sure. But if you try and say something to one of them, like, well, I'll send you evidence, there's a whole bunch of people talking about it. No, they don't want that nonsense. Please keep that nonsense away from me. That's crazy stuff. That's the stuff you listen to. So it's very, I don't know. I don't even know. I mean, this is like such a mad world right now. I can't even comprehend it. I can't even. But so I started watching this show. I told you about the show I was watching with Nicole Kidman and the spiritual. I don't know where it's going, so I can't even really say. All I know is that so far it's about healing and it's about going deep and alternative ways of healing and stuff. So I find it intriguing. But then there was this other one that had popped up when I was on Hulu, and it said Sasquatch. And, you know, I've been an adamant, I've been saying that there's Bigfoot ever since I was a teenager. And my best friend saw Bigfoot while she was out in the Appalachians traveling to go and visit her family by herself at night. When I saw how traumatized she was by this situation, what happened to her, and heard the story and stuff, you know, I have always said that there's Bigfoot. So this show, Sasquatch, I was like, oh, I want to see, you know, it said something about documentary looking into Bigfoot or something like that. And so I started watching it, which is the Duplass brothers. So, you know, it's going to be kind of, they have a different way. Like, they're kind of funny, but kind of like, look at it in a weird kind of way. Like, look at it from this weird perspective. You know, dark humor, I would guess, is what I would say they are. In my opinion. I mean, everybody's got their own opinion, but that's what I would call them. So, you know, it's kind of like, where's this going to go? So I start watching it, and it is this, what are those people called? They used to have integrity. Undercover journalist, I think, is what they're called, back in the day. So this guy, he is talking about his undercover journalist career of going undercover into like Aryan nation, or what are those people called? The white supremacy people, those groups. Well, going undercover into those groups to get information, going undercover with, I think one of them was cartel. But anyways, he would go into these undercover situations. So he was up in the Northern California, up by Humboldt, and I think it's called Mendocino. It's another place where all the weed is grown, and it started growing. So it does this kind of history, you know, to tell you how the people, it wasn't as much about Bigfoot. You know, it was kind of the same stories about Bigfoot that I heard when I moved over here. Like, I went up to, they were having a Bigfoot festival, and I went up to see about getting a booth to do my art. And when I went in there, the woman started showing me the pictures and all the stuff of all of the sightings of Bigfoot, and told me that it's, you're not allowed to shoot a Bigfoot up here, and all sorts of stuff. Like, it's a, you know, a real thing. And so I was excited because I knew Bigfoot was up in the mountains. And then the this other one was kind of telling the same stuff about Bigfoot. Like, there was tons of sightings, tons of people saw him. They would do things like on Missing 411 when it has these kids, show up in these little nests and stuff like that with everything they need, all clean and stuff. I think it's Bigfoot who's protecting these children too. Maybe even kidnapping them, who knows? But I don't think Bigfoot is violent at all. But I do believe that they are an intelligent, multidimensional being, and they aren't just part of the, animal, the animals of, Earth. Like this one guy was talking about black bears and how many black bears, and you don't go out in the woods and find carcasses of black bears all over the place. So it's kind of silly that they're trying to say, well, we got to find carcasses of Bigfoot all over the place, which I had even heard before that, because Bigfoot is intelligent, that they bury their dead. So anyways, that whole thing. But it went in a completely different direction than I was expecting, and started doing so much history about the weed wars, I guess, and the war that the government put on these weed growers. And so what it was showing was like back in the 70s, the hippies were really, fed up with the whole establishment. And they wanted to just get away. They wanted to go out and just live off the grid and take care of themselves. They didn't want to be involved with the government and all that stuff. They just wanted to go away and be left alone. So a whole bunch went up in the Northern California in the mountains, and they started making communes, and it was just tons and tons of hippies up there. And, they were farming for themselves and stuff. And so then they along the way, you can watch the show and find out more, but along the way, they started finding out that they could make a lot of money farming weed. So they started farming weed, and they could grow the best weed, something about the sun, the climate, and all that stuff, so they can grow really potent, good weed. And so they started doing that, and all these hippies started becoming rich, which, they were anti-establishment, and all of a sudden they've got money and things they need to worry about, like their property, their stuff, and everything. So while they were doing that, there was so much money to be made. So there was like a couple different things, because there started being people who would go up there to rip them off, and it just started being a real drug community. And that's also what I found when I moved up here into this rural community that is outside of Seattle, was that it was just overtaken by drug addicts. And up here it was all meth, so it was just tons and tons of meth people, and then people who didn't have a lot of money who would move out from the city. And so it was kind of like that kind of community, but it was also like that in kind of Northern California. So when they started the war on drugs, they started going into these communities and just, oh my gosh, you just have to watch it to see. I was outraged. I was so disgusted. And it just, the government has been showing us all along since, this is when I was young, but it was always hidden information, like I'm just hearing about this stuff now. But the government has been on war with us this whole time for our freedom. They don't want us to, expect our freedom. They want to completely control us. And the things that they did to these different families and stuff like that, it's outrageous. It's really outrageous. And, I think that everybody should watch this show just so that they can understand really what we're dealing with here. We're not dealing with what people think is like regular government, regular politicians and stuff. We're dealing with something completely different. We're dealing with such corruption, and it isn't just a corruption. They're out to actually kill us. And, so many people just trust them. Actually trust them. Like, I know people who would be, if they started doing the next BO stir next week, I know people who'd be right there fucking in line. Don't research a thing. Don't look into it. Don't see both sides. That's insanity. Just listen to what the government says and friggin' hop on board. That That's the person who is, I keep on thinking that social justice warrior, but it's that thing that they keep on trying to do. Like they want to be the best, the most, they're the ones who are saving the people. They're the ones saving the planet. They're the ones who are respectful of the government and stuff like this. Oh man, what is that word? They're virtue searching, virtue, like they have to be this holier than thou kind of thing, but no information at all. No, don't look into anything. Just blindly follow, the Pied Piper who's leading you right into a cave of murder and mayhem. I mean, we're in the middle of the mayhem right now, and we are being, the murder is going on right now. And what's really crazy, too, is to my kids, I started telling them that this stuff was going to happen. I didn't even know to what extent. And I don't even know, like, during my awakening, it's hard to explain because and that could be because of my brain injury that, I just can't remember certain things and how I knew certain things at certain times. Like some things I can remember, but not all this stuff. But in the beginning, when I very first started waking up, like when I was talking about like everything, I started noticing things look different. Things started looking like a 3-dimensional picture instead of actual stuff. I just started seeing like everything so different. And when I started telling people the realizations I was having, that's when I got called a crazy person. So I was telling them all the way back then that when we get to, that we're going to be headed towards a lot of natural disasters. There's going to be tons and tons of murder. There's going to be tons of suicide. There's going to be utter chaos. There's going to be, food shortages, all of this stuff. We're going to go into a really, really crazy time where all these people are going to be dying. And at the time, and I know I've said that before on here too, is at the time I had said, it's all happening for this come to Jesus moment for all these people. All these people have to suffer so that they understand what is going on here, so they can understand who they are and stuff. So I started telling them that, and I started trying to push them. I started talking about the ascension. That's when I was like really freaking out about the ascension too, because I thought, all these people are not going to go. They're going to be stuck here in this 3-dimensional world. I'm going to be away from my kids because I'm awake and they're not. Like I was seeing it from one, now I've got even more of the perspective now, knowing what a false controlled reality we were really living in. That has been exposed. That I didn't know about when I started talking about this stuff. But so when I say stuff now, it is so insane because I get back all the time. Well, if something starts happening, maybe I'll believe you. Well, if something, you've been saying this stuff for so long, but nothing is happening. Nothing has happened. I was like, what? Nothing. What? I was like, this stuff is happening all around you. We're in the middle of this shit. This is happening right now. Oh my God, just stop. Just stop. I no longer can listen to this nonsense. How can you not see what's going on around you at all? Even when you tell somebody and they're just like, no, nothing is going on. I was even told if something was going on, I would be seeing it on social media. I would be seeing it on the news. So nothing's going on. So please quit talking about your crazy stuff. It does. It makes you curious as this stuff keeps going. Is this is this part of what I've got to realize? Is this where I've just got to be like, okay, you're my kids, but you're also souls making choices. You obviously don't want to wake up. You're happy with the status quo. I mean, I can't even tell you how many times, I've been told, well, that's the new normal. Well, that's the way things are now. Well, things aren't the way they were when you were a kid. Well, things are different. Accept it. Sorry, I can't. I'm not going to. I'm not going to play this. I'm not going to go into this new smart city world of control and stuff. I'm not willing to give up my freedom. I'm fine with dying. I'm not worried about it. I know death isn't what people think it is. It's just a transition and go to another place. So, yeah, I'm not gonna, no. And it's a shame that there's so many people who are just like, yeah, well, that's the way it is. That's the new normal. That's how you gotta go now. So, quit talking about crazy shit. That's nonsense. Oh my God. Well, I'm obviously, I don't know. Has my mood changed much? I don't know. I feel like it just gets more like frustrated, more just, you know, but I'll do another one real quick about some more stuff with healing. I'll be right back.